Hey everybody, welcome back. Another Q&A with Dr. J. Dr. J. Dunn is the founder of myhappygenes.com, which is a company that is unique among direct-to-consumer genetic testing because Dr. J created an algorithm that combines the information about you, your biochemistry, what's happening right now, and your genetic report. And I don't know another company that does it because it's super personalized. There's no generic recommendations like anybody with N doofus, you all can take this. It's just specifically for you. That's amazing that you did that, Jay.
Oh, thank you for that. One concept that is big there is that just because you have a genetic variant doesn't necessarily mean it's expressing. And that's the difference with our company, as you say. We go in and ask you, okay, you may have the N-doofus gene, but are you tired and gaining weight and low exercise tolerance? If you are, then, and you have the N-doofus, then we need to address it. But if you're not, then you've already done the right things. Maybe you're already balancing it through your efforts. So that's an important distinction.
It really is. And I wouldn't have thought, like some of my genes would indicate that I can't eat a certain way, but I eat that way and I'm healthy as can be. So, like you said, it's a matter of what's expressing and also what's expressing right now. I may feel different in 6 months and need to go back in with my practitioner and say, I'm feeling a little funky this way, that way. Okay, let's look at your report based on those symptoms and see what needs adjusting. So it's like it's a living situation. You live within your genetic report and with a practitioner who can help you sort out symptoms. Anyway, on to the topic of the day, which is a topic that's been in the news consistently lately, and that is autism and autism spectrum. Tell me how to think about genes and the influence that they have, as opposed to it being a drug that somebody took and that's causing it.
Yeah, it's a complicated topic, and they are definitely using the spectrum, but they're also calling it neurodiversity, which I think is maybe a little more accurate. It's such a spectrum. It really is. From my daughter she has discovered that she really has been on the spectrum and has really educated me into neurodiversity. She had some strange things growing up. She wasn't one of those kids who's rocking back and forth and nonverbal and banging her head on the wall. But she did have some kind of meltdowns as a kid that were pretty extreme and very hypersensitive to things and social anxiety, pretty bad. And back then, we didn't know a lot about this situation. It never occurred to me that it was something maybe biochemical or physiological. I just thought she was a highly sensitive kid. She comes from a highly sensitive mom. But she has taught me quite a bit about this. And as a muscle tester and as somebody who looks at genetics and biochemistry, it's been fascinating to use her as my little lab rat, basically. See what is going on down deep into her physiology and her brain chemistry, et cetera. And I hope she doesn't mind me talking about her. I think she's pretty open about it. And she's educating others about it too. And not only me, people that she runs across and says, hey, I think you're on the spectrum a little bit. And maybe that's why you do this. And again, it's that concept of compassion, understanding why you are the way you are. And for her, it's been incredibly helpful to her. And she said, I don't hate myself anymore because I understand that it wasn't me doing it, being the sensitive child. It was a situation that was going on in her brain chemistry and her physiology. And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So she's much happier knowing that. So when I start working on her and I look at her genetic report and I think about, what she's experienced, it's giving me a lot more context. And there isn't one just here's the gene that causes autism, or everybody whose mother does Tylenol is going to get autism. It just doesn't work that way.
Then millions more people would have been diagnosed since we have more diagnostic tools and millions of women took Tylenol. It's
not to say it couldn't contribute. And I'll show you where that actually can happen in the genetics and the detox pathways. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go to that world famous chart. The world.
By the way, if any practitioners or even lay people are looking at this chart going, I want one of them, you can buy one. You can have an interactive chart of your very own. You can even have just a poster of facing this homepage, and you find that at holisticmethylation.com.
Yeah, I spent a lot of years looking at biochemical pathways and plugging in information here. And so this is like a 34-page document, but for each genetic variant, they're purple, you can click on them and it'll bring up a little information about that gene, what it does. And so this one in particular is the one that clears, as you can see up here, this is the enzyme involved in what's called glucuronidation of chemicals. This is the UGT. It's the main enzyme responsible for the clearance of acetaminophen. And so if you have a genetic variant there, you're going to be slow in getting acetaminophen out of the body. It would be a bad choice for you. But it also is what clears estrogens and bilirubin and plastics. So a lot of things can slow it down in function and lead to issues there. So look at your genetic report on My Happy Genes and see if you have that gene. If so, be very careful with any kind of estrogen replacement therapy, with taking acetaminophen, and get your bilirubin levels checked on a regular basis and watch those plastics. Avoiding plastics is a really good idea, especially if you have that gene, but in general, because they're hormone disruptors. As we did a Q&A on hormone disruptors and plastics, it's a big deal. But every piece of this is going to be defined. So you can click anywhere and it'll show you what's going on there. But back to the autism genes. So with her, she had a meltdown and she has this hypersensitivity reaction where textures really bother her. Sand, if she goes to the beach, sand gets on her fingers or in her eyes or is blowing around and she just melts down. And the sun gets too hot and she walks into a spider web or something, it's going to be a total freak out. So, or the rest of us are going, wow, this is uncomfortable. She's coming out of her skin. And so she was having a freak out one day, and I was like, come on, let's go and let's take a look. As a muscle tester, we were able to test her. And glutamate levels were really high. We had eaten some food the night before that I think had glutamate in it too. So her set point for anxiety was already up here. Glutamate is broken down by this enzyme, GAD. She has a genetic variant there. So glutamate levels being high can cause a lot of anxiety. And it's like coming out of your skin anxiety, like neurological almost. And so you add to that some kind of like stressor, these minor stressors that we would consider minor, to her set point is from here all the way up here. And now she escalates to here. And so this enzyme, when it's working correctly, breaks glutamate down into GABA. GABA is our calming neurotransmitter. So we gave her some support for that GAD enzyme. That was number one. And the second thing that tested weak were the peroxynitrites and superoxide. And these are highly inflammatory molecules, and they can see they cause neuron damage. Microglial activation, those are the brain cells. So when we look at neurodiversity, often there's an excitation that's going on here. And these two genes, the SOD, that breaks down superoxide and peroxynitrite, and the GAT, this whole area here can cause extreme overstimulation. And I'm not talking about curing autism here. I'm talking about helping with some of the symptoms that can be really uncomfortable and very disturbing to those that are on the spectrum. So we gave her some support for this enzyme, the SOD and the GAD, and within an hour, her whole nervous system settled down.
Wow.
That was pretty cool to see inside of what is actually happening when these meltdowns happen, if you will. She also has a genetic variant in the MTHFR, which one of the very much studied genetic variants, and it's some good association studies showing that it can contribute to autism spectrum sort of situations. So again, it's never one gene, one imbalance. It's always a multiple kind of conglomeration of genes, and it's never the same. There's not like a one pattern. Here's autism. No. For each person, it's going to be different. And so when we look at the genetic report, we can go, oh, this one is likely leading you to these social anxiety or extreme anxious reactions, or some of the depression or the bipolar kind of symptoms. We can target those and give nutrients, and it really just takes the edge off of some of those symptoms. Are we going to make you back into a completely normal person? Probably not, but you can manage these extremely uncomfortable kind of symptoms that a lot of these kids and adults, she's an adult and still struggling with that we can help with those kinds of things.
And you mentioned compassion, either this one or the one before, Q&A before, and I was thinking of how many people have been told to grow a thicker skin
Right.
to move up the ladder in corporate, or to, you got to get over yourself. You can't be this sensitive person in the world because that's not how the world works. And think about all those people that have taken that to heart, which then causes more anxiety and more feelings of not worthy and this and that. So just to know what's going on. And again, because you have variations doesn't mean you're broken or it's bad. It just means you have them. There's something to do.
Yes. And working with them and having, like you said, compassion for yourself, but understanding that, okay, I'm on overwhelm. I need some time off. I need to go
Mm,
be in a dark room and be by myself. And allowing yourself that is a big deal, and saying, look, I've got a little bit of a problem. I have this neurodiversity thing, and I
yeah.
need downtime to get regulated. I'm dysregulated right now, so I need to go be by myself. And having that language, I think, is really has really helped her quite a bit. And she teaches other people how to do that and how to regulate themselves or get themselves back into balance.
That's great. And the
Yeah.
world is becoming, it seems to me, becoming more compassionate in general of people that are neurodivergent and have those requests. I need some time alone, or
Right.
I can't come to work today because I won't be there fully. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so interesting. Anyway, peeps, you're here. Hit the subscribe button, bell, whatever the heck is underneath this video. I always forget. And send us your questions, info@myhappygenes.com. Let us know what you're interested in learning more about genetically, and we will try to help you. Thanks, Dr.
Yeah,
J.
and share if you would, because
Yeah.
I think there are a lot more people who can benefit from this. And if you would, I would be interested in people commenting whether or not you feel like you're on the spectrum or neurodivergence kind of thing, and just maybe a little bit about you. That would be really cool to see if this kind of resonates with people out there.
Yeah, and if you don't feel comfortable posting on a public page like this page, then by all means, like I said, info@myhappygenes.com. We answer every email personally. So there's that.
Yeah. Thanks, GC.
Thank you, Dr. J.